Hey guys. Ooh, sorry, voice didn't want to come out. I am making today the zucchini quiche squares. I call them quiche squares. Some other recipes might call them zucchini squares. This recipe is where I got it from, zucchini squares. This is actually a book, a little book I got at like a thrift store for like 25 cents. I don't know who the maker is, but it was herb recipes and it was so cute, and it has all these recipes for the different herbs that you can get. And these zucchini squares I've made. I think because it does ask for like a cup of bisquick, so I'm not sure if it's a bisquick recipe, but I really like this recipe. So it reminds me of a crustless quiche, and you're supposed to serve it as an appetizer. You cut into squares. Me and my husband actually like to eat them for breakfast, and they freeze really well. So I make like a tray of it, cut it up, layer it with parchment paper, and freeze them so that we can have. So the ingredients that they ask for is 3 cups of thinly sliced zucchini. So that came from my CSA, and I have yellow squash and zucchini in there. So I'm going to need 3 cups of that. 1 cup of bisquick, but I used the Trader Joe's buttermilk pancake mix, and 2 teaspoons of marjoram. Oops, I forgot to get the marjoram. I'll get that out. 1/2 cup of finely chopped onions, which I have there, and 1 finely chopped clove of garlic, which I actually put in there as well. So I chopped them all together. It asked for a 1/2 cup of freshly grated parmesan cheese, which I did, and 2 tablespoons of chopped parsley, which I do not have parsley. Parsley is more of a cooler weather, so right now my parsley is very sparse, but I do have basil, so I'm going to substitute it with basil. Freshly ground black pepper, 1/2 cup of virgin extra virgin, virgin olive oil, but I have extra virgin olive oil, and then 4 eggs. And then you layer it, not layer it, you put it in a greased dish and bake it at 350. So I got my oven preheating for 350. So I'm going to put all these ingredients together, and you'll see what it looks like when it's mixed up. I'll put it on the dish and throw it in the oven. And it says 30 minutes to cook. And it's really cool because it doesn't look like much. It looks like, wow, it's just mostly zucchini, but the egg and the biscuit literally just puff up while it cooks. You like that hand action? Yeah, so that's my quiche squares that I love doing with the abundance of zucchini in the summer. So here's what the batter looks like when you mix it all together. It doesn't look like much batter. There's just so much zucchini that it doesn't look like there's much batter from the bisquick and the eggs. But the zucchini, the moisture obviously releases and mixes with the batter, and the zucchini cooks down while the egg mixture puffs up. So it does come out pretty eggy. Like I said, it's like a crustless quiche. And I had enough zucchini that I made a second batch. Now, the recipe says to put it in a 12-inch baking dish, greased. I usually, I do like to increase my batter. Oops. Because I like to put it in the Pampered Chef pan, and I actually will spread it throughout the whole tray. So I get like a big one. And I've done this at parties when we've had barbecues as an appetizer. And then I would cut them into squares from there and just have them literally serve it right out of the tray. But yeah, so I spread a nice layer on a bigger tray, and I did have enough for 2. This one's a little slightly smaller, but I'm going to mix the 2 up and spread it on the Pampered Chef dish. So this is what it looks like when it's all spread. Oh, it's going to be so good. So it puffs up, like I said, and the zucchini does cook down. So I was able to get it from edge to edge. Sometimes with one, I have spread it, and I think it's come up to just about here and much thinner. So, but I did have enough zucchini for 2 batches. So this is double the recipe. And that's my marjoram. So this goes in a 350-degree oven for 30 minutes. And then you'll see it a little golden and puffy on the top. Oh my goodness. It smells so good. I literally only make this when zucchini season comes. So it's been a year. So see how it puffed up and it got nice and golden, and then the zucchini definitely got thinner because it lost a lot of its moisture. I actually did try doing this same recipe, but instead of the zucchini, I added kale because I had so much kale. And one of you guys actually recommended when you have an abundance, especially like kale, the greens, to make quiches. So I actually tried to do this as a kale one, and it doesn't come out the same way. It's almost, I think it comes out a little drier. So somehow this recipe needs the moisture from the zucchini. So I'm going to actually try to do something else with my kale. I can't just substitute the zucchini and the kale. But this is such a good dish. I enjoy it for breakfast. I will heat it up in the toaster oven. It freezes well, so I've put, some in parchment paper, in Ziplocs, and I froze them, and then they toast up very nicely. But they're also great at room temperature. You cut them into squares, and you can serve them as appetizers at room temperature, and it goes. I actually had a Pampered Chef party, and I served this in this tray, cut into squares for the guests. And of course, the Pampered Chef lady loved that. I'll post the recipe below. It was something I got at a thrift store. I think my mother-in-law mentioned that Bisquick has that recipe, because it does ask for bisquick. So it might be on the Bisquick website. I'll check that out. But the one I got from the thrift store it had to have been over 20 years ago. I found that for 25 cents, and I love that little book. But I hope you try this recipe, and I hope you enjoy it. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.